And yes, for Module 5 class, no, our topic is all about inter-process communication. And technically, this deals with shared memory. Okay? After all, we communicate. Our programs communicate through memory, right? And it's one of the factors, okay, of or components, a very important component when we try to get two processes communicate with one another. And our objective for this afternoon is to understand the importance of IPC in process coordination. And yes, we will be using shared memory method in IPC and also use socket connections in IPC also. Okay, and using shared memory and sockets has benefits, no, in our systems development. If we get to need to communicate two processes altogether, and later on we'll show you. Okay. Now, what is inter-process communication? And inter-process communication is the mechanism provided by the operating system that allows processes to communicate with each other. Okay. And this communication could involve a process letting another process know that some event has occurred, or the transferring of data from one process to another. Okay. And so if we are to look into this diagram, okay, it's very simple for us to understand how inter-process communication works. We have a different process, which is process 1, and we have another process, which is process 2. Okay? Now, you can view these processes as different programs, because from module 1 to module 4, we are actually dealing with a single process, okay, which is a single program. And then sa loob ng program natin, nagte-thread tayo. That's what we are doing for the past 4 modules that we have. Pero ito class, we are talking about two different programs that are communicating with one another. Okay, so this is a different thing. Okay? And sa totoo lang, no, in our everyday use of Windows application, even in Unix or Linux platforms such as Mac OS and Linux distros, no, we are actually performing inter-process communication there. Okay? And one good example of inter-process communication is that yung clipboard natin, right? 'Di ba sa clipboard natin, if for example I have Google Sheet and I have an Excel, and if I wanted to copy each of the cells sa Google Sheet natin, all I have to do is to press Control A, then Control C. Then that will be placed on my on the Windows clipboard. Because a clipboard is shared by all applications in Windows. Okay? And then mag-alt tab ako sa Excel, and I'm going to press Control V doon sa Excel natin. Okay? And if the program permits the format of the data that we have copied on the clipboard, it will now be reformatted on the format of data on the Excel and mape-paste natin. And that's a simple example of inter-process communication. It is because, kung titingnan natin, Google Sheets is a browser-based program. It's a different program. And Microsoft Office Excel is a standalone desktop application. And we were able to transfer data from one to another, 'di ba? And that is what we call as simple as inter-process communication. Okay? And we have different strategies in terms of performing inter-process communication. Well, what I have presented here is generic. But of course, there are some particular to some operating system platforms, and I'll show you later. Okay? Pero we have here in this POSIX systems, no? This is what we call pipe. Actually, it is also existing in other development platforms that you are using. Such as may makikita kayo class sa Java API natin ng mga pipe output stream, pipe input stream. Even in Linux, we have pipes. But a pipe, if we are to view it, is a data channel that is unidirectional. Okay? Ibig sabihin, if we want to send a data to another application, that is a single instance of a pipe. Ngayon, kung re-receive tayo ng data from another application, then you will be needing another pipe for receiving for that particular application. So, ibig sabihin, meron kang parang, alam niyo yun, parang sa water pipe, no? Sa daluyan ng tubig natin. Na you have this specific pipe for that particular application. Okay? So, in other words, two pipes can be used to create two-way data channel between two processes. Okay, so you'll just have to instantiate this pipe that I'm saying, no, in your program. Now, pipes are used in all POSIX systems. Lalong-lalo na GCC that we have downloaded is a POSIX system. And you can actually use pipe there. Okay? So yes, no, that's the first strategy. And the second one is what you call the socket. Okay, and this is more of related to the network. So of course, in between applications na ginagawa natin, pwede kasing mangyari na yung program natin tumatakbo in our terminal and we need to communicate with another program sa ibang terminal or ibang box or ibang instance ng hardware. And so we have these two programs that are needed to communicate with one another. Okay, and for that to happen, okay, since it is on, we have to traverse over the wires or wireless already, we have to go to the network and that is the socket is for. Okay? And so that's why I'll be teaching you on how will you use this technique. Kasi it would really help us, especially for example, na yung systems natin is heterogeneous. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kasi let's say for example, you have a back-end application or a back-end logic that was created no using an AI framework na naka-Python such as PyTorch, nandun siya nakalagay. Eh, ang front end mo is GUI. Something like that. So, yung Java GUI mo or C++ GUI mo, okay, or your Android GUI, okay, would like to interface with your Python framework. But they are of two different platforms. So, how can they communicate? So you can create a bridge towards these two different applications, such as no, you could create a socket. Okay, so that both of these programs can communicate with one another. Okay, and so we also have this what you call file method. So kung titingnan natin, no, if for example we have a program in C++ and we have a program in Java, 'di ba? One way to communicate also, no, is this C++ application would be writing from a file. Okay, so yes, read write, fclose, fopen, iostream. So yun yung ginagamit natin. We will be closing the file and your Java program, okay, will be reading from the C++ file that you have generated on a text file, 'di ba? So, in a way, we were able to communicate with two different processes with two different platforms. using files, right? Hmm. So, 'di ba madali lang? It's also easy. However, class, no, this file object has different representations also in our program. Okay? Like for example, sa Linux, the devices, okay, that is mounted on Linux is represented also by files. Kung pupunta kayo sa magsi-cd kayo ng /dev, no, sa ano natin, sa Linux /dev, makikita nyo lahat, 'di ba? You could list down the files over /dev directory. But actually, ang makikita nyo doon, /dev/sda. Yun yung first hard drive nyo. /dev/sdb. Diba? It looks like a file, but it's actually a pointer to your hard drive. So if that is the case, a file also is represented or is representing a memory area. Okay, yun nga lang, ang tingin lang natin sa kanya is a file, but it's actually using the memory. Okay? So yan, no? That's one of the inter-process communication strategies also. And so, when we are talking about IPC strategies also, we're talking about signals. And signals are useful in inter-process communication in a limited way. They are system messages that are sent from one process to another. Okay, so kung titingnan natin, class, di ba? You've learned about in your computer architecture, mga interrupts. Di ba? And di ba pag ano, like for example, one signal is the shutdown signal. Di ba? So pag naka-receive yung mga applications natin ng shutdown, 'di ba minsan naglalabasan yung save your application when we are into shutting down our Windows uh, uh, system already, because the operating system have sent signals on the active processes that you have in Windows that the computer is about to be shut down, 'di ba? So that's why Signal also, using signals by the operating system, okay, is a strategy also in terms of inter-process communication. Of course, much like what I was discussing earlier, okay, we have the shared memory. And the shared memory is the memory that can be simultaneously accessed by multiple processes. So somehow, class, of course, if there's any simultaneous access by multiple processes, you would be needing synchronization methods for this one. Okay? Siyempre, yung mga, alam nyo yun, class, yung mga programs that we encounter, no, in our college experiences dito. So most of them we are dealing mostly with, sequential logic kasi, 'di ba? Pero when you go out there and you are dealing with real-time systems already or real-time hardwares, no, diyan na papasok ngayon yung mga synchronization techniques that you have to implement in your application. So what are these low yung tinatawag nilang low latency systems? These systems or hardwares are actually used, no, in meteorological applications, 'di ba? Real time 'yan eh. Highly computational task. Low latency systems like airline monitoring. No, hindi naman pwedeng after 5 seconds or 10 seconds tsaka lang mag-a-update yung ano natin. 'Di ba? So kailangan mga real time. And programming in those types of platforms, are different. But anyway, no. So we're just dealing with desktops and laptops and mobile devices. So basically, we get to use only this multiple threading in terms of enhancing our UI and possibly, no, enhancing the computational process of our what do you call this, of our program. But yeah, moving forward, class, no? Another IPC strategy is what we call message queues. And in multiple processes, no, which can read and write to the message queue without being connected with each other. And when we are talking about message queues, no, these messages are stored in the queue, which is a first in, first out until the recipient retrieves them. Okay? So just to show you the difference between shared memory. So in our physical memory where process P1 and process P2 is technically running, there is an area where is a shared memory outside of our process. And a good example of this is what you call the clipboard. But syempre, not are all clipboards because there are different strategies also, which I will show you later. And we try to simultaneously access that particular area of the memory. So sa message queues naman, okay, when different processes are running, there's this particular area of the memory where we try to put in data on it, okay, and also different processes. It tries to put data on it, okay. Uh, and once, for example, process P1 would be needing data from the message queue and also process P2, whatever data is on the front of the queue, yun yung mare-retrieve ng that particular process. Okay? Kahit yung sarili niyang message, i-enter niya dyan. Okay, syempre, mapupunta sa likuran yon, di ba? And other processes that inserts data there, okay, depending on its position, depending kung sino nag-access ng message queue natin, kung ano yung nasa unahan, yun yung makukuha ng particular process na yon. And so, if you have seen these APIs about message queues, that's how it works. Okay? So, yeah, that's the overview of the different inter-process communication strategies that we have. And I have here a code demonstration. No? However, in this code demonstration class, last term, we implemented this one in Ubuntu. Okay, so for you to not install a WSL platform sa Windows natin and for you not to install something like a Linux distro. Okay, so I have provided actually another example, no, that we can write outright try with Windows. And as what you can see, gumamit pa kami ng VIM last term, last few terms ago and compile it. And this is the shared memory, no, which is the producer sample and the consumer sample. And we're trying to retrieve data from the shared memory itself. Okay? Now, if we are going to look at our modules, actually, yun nga, hindi pa updated yung modules na nakikita nyo sa inyo. I have placed here yung inter-process communication natin. No? And under this is what you call a link on Windows IPC. So let me just click on that. And you would see here, class, no? When we are talking about Windows, mas marami pang IPC strategies that you could do in Windows. Okay? So you have the clipboard, you have the component object model, you have the data copy, DDE, file mapping, mail slot, pipes, remote procedure call, and Windows sockets. No? However, class, for Windows 11, this strategy called the mail slot is deprecated already in Windows 11. But from Windows 7 up to Windows 10, you could still use a mail slot for inter-process communication. Okay, but of course, we will not be studying all of them. Okay? And particularly for this session, we will only be using a file mapping for inter-process communication and also Windows sockets for inter-process communication, no? Let's move forward. Tingnan naman natin 'to, class, 'no? We have this, uh, shared memory, 'no? Tingnan niyo 'to, we have the Windows platform. And all you have to do, on this module, no, is to, yeah, copy and paste this code over your Visual Studio Code. And I haven't placed this yet in the modules. Spam is Pinas, no? Medyo nauna to. But, yeah. So, let me just paste it here. Ayan. So, nasa chat box natin, class. No? Yung ano natin. Yung source code that I have here. So, you can just copy that if you are around, no? And, let me just open the Visual Studio Code here. Okay? So, let me open a folder and sa desktop ko na lang ilalagay. And with this, let me create na yung a folder na lang. Let me just create a new one para malinis. So, we have IPC. Yan, IPC. Tapos, I'll be selecting the folder. Okay. And so, let me create first yung IPC inter-process communication natin. And for this strategy, class, we will be using the file mapping strategy. Okay? File mapping. So IPC producer dot CPP. And all we have to do is to, as what I've said, paste the code that we have. And here is our code, no? Now, let me just explain this to you one by one. And with this, also included on the module is particularly the link, no? About the file mapping strategy that we have. So we have file mapping. Ayan. And let me just paste this dun sa chat box ninyo. Ayan. Okay, that's file mapping, Windows 32 apps. Okay? And sa file mapping, class, no? File mapping is the association of a file's contents with a portion of the virtual address space of a process. So kung titingnan natin, no, if we have two different processes that are running, actually ang ginagawa ng file mapping is it tries to create a file, okay, but actually, it's not a file, but more of an area in our physical memory. Yun nga lang, ang pag-handle natin sa kanya, class, is via our concept of a file. But actually, it's not a literal file that we are seeing in our secondary storage, such as the hard drives that we have. Okay? Nasa memory yan. Okay? And that's why, class, in our program here, you would see here, create file mapping. Okay, we have the default security, use paging file. Well, these are some of the default parameters of this function. Okay, you have the read-write access, the maximum object size, okay, the high order D word and the object size, no, which is the buffer size. The buffer size is 256 bytes, no, 256 bytes yung i-allocate natin sa memory. And we have to name our file as well. Okay? So that's why we would be naming our mapping object. And if this is successful, of course, this will not return null kung meron pa tayong memory space that we can allocate on the memory. But otherwise, we will not be able to create the file mapping object. Okay? And what we do here is that we could now, after creating the file, no, we could now define the map view of the file. As and what is the map view? Actually kasi kung titingnan nyo dito sa ano natin, sa map view of the file, like si process 1, kung ito yung create natin, no? Let me print screen na lang muna so that I can write on the image itself. And what we have here, no, yung file natin, 'di ba? So we created this particular file mapping object over the memory. Okay? And pwede kasi class na pag nag-map na tayo ng file, si process 1, ito lang yung nakikita niya, itong part na 'yan. Something like that, no? And another file mapping, no, for other process, pwede rin kasi na let's say for example, ito yung part lang yung nakikita niya, hindi yung bandang taas. Okay? So that's how file mapping works. And once you map the file, automatically what is mapped will be returned back to you, no? Accordingly. Kung titingnan naman natin dito class sa ginawa natin sa program natin, no, pbuff, no? So technically we don't have any, no, content yet. But no, once we are done with the map view file, no, notice what we will be doing here if this were not successful. Okay, we will be having this unable to view the map file, no? So hindi natin siya ma-access. But if it is successful, what we will be doing here is we will be copying the message, which is message from first process, okay, papunta doon sa memory. Okay? Papunta doon sa memory ng uh, map view ng file natin. And we will now unmap afterwards and close. So, ang ginagawa lang ng program ng producer natin is actually naglalagay lang siya ng data, no, dito sa file mapping object natin, which is technically an area in our memory. Okay? And so with that, since we know what a producer is, so just let me know if you have any questions. Okay? Let us now try to run the IPC consumer. Okay, that's CPP. So the purpose of the IPC consumer is for us to, alam niyo yun, to read what was placed by the producer doon sa memory natin. Okay? And, no, to do this, let me just, no, open the code that we have here. So which is the Windows Platform Consumer. And as what I've said, let me just paste also the code if you wanted to try it for yourself, no, dito sa ano natin, sa chat box natin. So we have that, and let me press enter, and that is our code for the consumer. Ngayon, kung titingnan natin sa code natin class, no, sa IPC producer, so technically, we have an important header file here, which is windows.h. And you could use a lot of functions related to systems programming, no, once you actually included the windows.h in our header file. Okay, so punta tayo sa consumer and let's paste it. Notice class that in the consumer part, we have to exactly uh, match the file mapping name, which is the file mapping object, doon sa pag-create natin. And we have the exact name on it. This is the producer. It has the exact name. And we have the consumer also. Because otherwise, we will not be able to open that file mapping object that we have. And look, hindi na-create sa simula because we were able to create it already sa producer, and all we have to do is to consume the data that was placed on the memory. And let me try. So we have here open file mapping. We have the file map access and the mapping object. Afterwards, we would indicate the view of our mapping file. And kung titingnan natin, we have the same view, much like how we created it from top to bottom. So we just specify the full buffer size for our map view. And once we have the map view of the file, it will automatically retrieve all data that was in there, and it will be stored on the buffer, and it will be displayed on the screen using a message box. Okay? And so let us now try. Now let us now try to run this program. Okay? So we have here the IPC producer. And let me save this file first and run the code. Okay? So yeah, it should produce an executable file, and it's running already. So let me stop it for a while. And also the consumer, let me save and run the code. No, let's now run the code. Ayan. Which is we have IPC consumer, but we were able to produce two executable files here. So sarado yung producer natin, kaya we could not open the file mapping object. And syempre, ganito na gagawin natin. We have to run the producer first. So what we do here is to run the program. So run the code. Okay, and our code is actually running, which is the producer. Now I have to run another instance of the consumer. So I have to go to the terminal. Okay, and inside the terminal, no, you would see here that I have two executable files. One is the producer and one is the consumer. And I have to run the consumer here. So gagawin ko dito class, I have IPC consumer. Ayan. And I have EXE or IPC consumer. I'll just simply run the program para magkahiwalay talaga sila class, no? Yung talagang alam niyo 'yun, magkaibang dalawang program. And I have to press enter now, and ayan 'no, na-retrieve natin yung ano, yung message from the producer. Pero galing 'yan sa shared memory, ah. So but, the good thing here class, we are running two different programs, and that's what we get to appreciate, 'no, with this, example that we have here. Okay? So yeah. So we have the message from the first process. So yeah, so that's inter-process communication class. Using the file mapping, no, method in Windows. But actually kung titingnan nyo, it's also a shared memory type. So file mapping lang ang tawag. So do you have any questions ba? Naintindihan nyo ba yung ano, yung sequence ng ano natin class, ng logic natin? Yeah. Oh. So yeah, thank you for that reply. Sige. So yes, we have already no yung message natin. And so class no, that's about it in terms of shared memory. So moving forward dito, eh we have this subtopic 2, no, which is about socket programming. And most probably, no, if you are working in two different platforms, lalong-lalo na sa mga thesis projects nyo ngayon, na you can't avoid, like for example, if you will be working with two different platforms kasi hindi nyo siya mapagkasya, no, or magamit into a single platform lang dahil yung kailangan yung mga frameworks or libraries running on a different platform. You could simply do socket programming for them to communicate. Okay? And in socket programming class, if we are going to look at it, it is a way of connecting two nodes on a network to communicate with each other, and that's it. No? So one socket listens on a particular port, so you'll have you'll be needing a little knowledge of network here. Excuse me. And most probably, you do have already because you have Cisco, di ba? And alam natin na ang particular port is only specific to a single instance. 1:1 sila, no? One service, one port number, particular port number. While the other socket reaches out the other to form a connection. So the server forms the listener socket while the client reaches out to the server. Okay, so ganun siya. Okay, and how do we do that, class? No? Let's see. Because in other platforms, anyway, I'll tell you later. No, this is the standard operation of a socket between a server and a client. Okay? Sa lahat ng platforms, even in Python, even in Java, okay, lahat ng yan, okay, yan ang operation because it is dictated by the Transmission Control Protocol or the 3CP/IP protocol. Okay? So makikita nyo dito sa server process, mas marami ng konti. It first declares or establishes a socket. Okay? So, meaning parang it creates a socket particularly bound to a specific transport service provider. So, parang it's really more of initialization that we will be using the transport service provider, which is the TCP. Okay? And afterwards, after creating the socket, okay, meron tayong bind function. And ano yung ginagawa ng bind? Okay, it associates our local IP address with a particular socket. Okay, so ina-associate niya yung IP address sa socket natin na ginawa. Okay, and afterwards, we get to listen. So, we are telling the socket that it should now listen for incoming connection. Okay? And accept by the word itself, no? We accept actually a connection. Okay? And basically that's it, class. That's the steps in actually working with a server program. Ngayon, in Java or in Python, in some of the development platform, no? Itong part na to, okay, yung socket, bind, and listen is encapsulated. So, parang isang command na lang sa kanya yung tatlo. Okay? But technically, inside it, it has socket, bind, and listen, pero lumalabas isang class instantiation lang yan. And all you have to do is to accept, then read and write. So, it's encapsulated already in a class. Like in Java, merong tinatawag na server socket. And yung server socket, yan ang ginagawa, yung tatlong yan. Now, syempre, you have the client process and what it does is you just create a socket with that particular IP address and connect. That's it. Then you can read and write with the two programs all together. Okay, and then you close the socket. And so, how do we do that, no? In our program here. So, going back to our modules dito, class, no? Dito sa communication. Dito sa ano natin. No, I have here, class, yung socket programming, no? We have here yung the server. Okay? Now, you just make sure that when you have this socket program with you, in your Visual Studio Code, dito sa extensions and code runner ninyo, okay, if we are to open it, because we will be using the Windows sockets, okay, sa settings.json ninyo, I'm sorry, dito sa CPP file, you should include the -LWSOC32 and WLWS232 Windows sockets 2, no? Dito sa command line natin. So -L means linking. it will link these libraries, no, when you compile your program, yung Windows sockets natin. Okay? And that is needed. And I have placed this actually on the notes itself. Kaya hindi na kayo malilito, no? Minus L. Ayan. But after the file name, ha. So, yan. So, this is our code, and since wala yung ano natin, eh I'll be pasting this in your chat box here. Ayan. If you wanted to do this with me. And dito, gagawa na tayo ng uh, a socket server. Ang tawag natin, .cpp. And ang ginagawa niya actually, no, is we try to establish the server. Now, syempre, kung may Windows Defender kayo na naka-activate or antivirus which blocks the ports and the port, magrereklamo sa inyo yung Windows Defender. Tapos, ang gagawin nyo, i-allow nyo lang. Because we are into network programming already. Kaya that's why. So, sometimes, binablock kayo ng antivirus or ng Windows Defender ninyo. Okay? So, notice that the two include files that we have here. It is supported by GCC, yung Windows Sockets 2, and the TCP/IP.h, no, Windows TCP/IP.h, including Windows.h. So, we have a default buffer length which is 512 bytes. And ang gagamitin kong port, syempre 8080. No? Syempre hindi tayo dapat gumagamit ng mga standard port services like port 80, port 21, 443, mga ganyan. Those are the standards, di ba? So we have here some data structure declaration, and syempre a buffer where we will be receiving messages also. Dito natin kukunin, no, sa receive buffer na to. Okay? And this is how we do it. We initialize the Windows socket first. But don't worry, these are default parameters that you do. Now, notice that we have WSA data. Pag dineclare nyo yan, wala pang laman. So, ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Actually, pag successful yung pag-start mo ng Windows Socket 2, magkakaroon ng laman ng information on initialization yung WSA data mo. So, doon pa lang magkakalaman yan. But hindi naman natin siya gagamitin. But for debugging purposes, you can look into the details of WSA data. And so, notice we have another data structure here which is hints, no? Notice class that we tried to initialize first the hints of any undefined values because this is a local variable. Okay, so yeah, it's a zero memory is a Windows C particular C function command, no? And we will be identifying the family, the socket type. It's a sock stream, a protocol, TCP, AI plugs, and passive. So as is na lang muna to para at least, no? Tawag dito, hindi na tayo masyado maguluhan, but ang sinasabi natin dito is that we will be using the TCP protocol because we have UDP programming also, 'di ba? Dalawang klase 'yon, TCP and UDP. And you can do that type of programming also. Okay, the UDP protocol. And so, we have to resolve first the server address and port. And for this, if we are to establish, no, this is null, we are referring to our current machine for the IP address. So the default port is 8080. Okay, and if this is successful, it will create a socket. Okay? And actually, ang pwede nyo ang ilagay dito is yung yung 127.0.0.1. Kasi you are referring to the local host. Okay, for the get address info. Ibig sabihin, dito tayo mag-i-establish ng server program natin. Okay? And then we will now try to create the socket. So based on our diagram here, nandito na tayo no sa listen. Okay? So sorry sa socket. Nandito na tayo sa part na to no, sa socket. So we have here a socket. Okay? And once we are done establishing the socket using the result data structure that was passed to us, no? We are now ready to bind that particular socket, no, and set up the TCP listening socket as we have discussed. And afterwards, we can now listen. Okay, nandito na tayo sa part na to. After binding, we can listen now. And as what you can see, after listening, we can now accept from any client. Ayan. Okay? And so we have that kind of structure in our code. And notice, once na may nag-connect sa atin na client, we will be receiving information from the client. And what we receive, ibibigay din natin pabalik doon sa client. No, parang papaikutin natin yung data. Pag ano yung binato sa atin ng kumunik sa atin, ibabato din natin sa kanya. Okay, then yes, no, we will just wait for the client to close so that we could close also and shut down our socket. And mas maganda nito kung ano, lagyan natin ng printout bawat isa. Okay? And maybe from here, we could start from the socket, no? And dito, no, we could place here printf uh, socket uh, is done. Okay, something like that. And maybe another output here after bind, no? Para alam natin na nandoon na siya. So bind is done. Okay. And maybe after listening, we could do that. Okay. Listen is done. Okay. And after listening, we can now accept. Okay. And once you are on the accept stage, much like the wait function, magkakaroon ng blocking state. Okay. And we have to place here that we are waiting for the client to connect. Okay. And maybe what we can do here is if we received a message, no, naka-receive tayo, maybe we can print here class, no, received from client. Okay, we could print it out on the screen. Something like, yan, %s. Okay. Well, ayan. And saying na we have received the something like we wanted to receive the buffer and print it out on the screen. So, ayan. And let me just, check if all things are okay. Let me run the code so that it's compiled and we can produce an executable file for that. So, let me run the code. Okay? And yon, no? We were able to produce the socket server.exe. Okay? Pero patayin muna natin siya. Okay, let me stop. Because we have to create the last one, which is the client, no? Socket client. Okay? .cpp. Ayan. So this is the last one, the socket client. And for the socket client, we can actually retrieve it from the module that we have and ilalagay ko din sa inyo, no? But for the meantime, what we will be doing is we have module 5 and I'm going to click on the Windows platform client and copy our client. Yan, copy ko siya. Yan. And I guess I can paste it also in your chat box. Ayan. Okay? And what we will be doing next is we will now try to paste it also in our code here. Ayan, we have this code. Okay. And after this code, no, what we can do is, well, we can configure it first because the default port that we are using is 8080. Okay? 8080. Ayan. And we will notice in this scenario, we will try to initialize the Windows socks and the IP address of your server. It's the local port 127.0.0.1. Okay. And we will create a socket. Dalawa lang yung stage niya eh. Then we have, after creating the socket, we can connect if we have no problems. And after connecting, we will just send something on the server. No? And that's it. No? Byte sent. So accept and connect and send na agad tayo. No? And ano yung papadala natin? No? Well, actually, we can actually configure. So in our case here, no? 'Di ba nagpadala si server sa atin ng ano, ng message? Okay. So nung nagpadala sa atin ng message si server, what we do here after saan na ba 'yan? After connecting and we are done, okay? We would be sending the send buffer. Okay? So tingnan natin ano yung laman ng send buffer natin. Okay? Our send buffer, where is it? Huh? Receive default. This is a test. Palitan natin. Ayan. This is from the client. Okay? So, yan yung papadala natin when we connect to the server. So, tingnan natin class. Let me just compile the program. Let me run the code para makapag-produce tayo ng ano natin. So, yes, no, we have the socket client. Pero syempre, mag-e-error yan. Ayan, mag-e-error yan because there's no server that we can use. And what we do, as usual, no, let's now try to open two terminals here, command prompt. No, isa pa, dalawa. So, isa pa, terminal also. Ayan. So, we have two command prompts. The first one, cd IPC, cd desktop. Okay, cd IPC. We'll try to run the socket server. Okay? So, we are waiting for the client to connect. Okay? Ito yung server natin, class, ha? This is our server. And the next one, no? After we have that, if that is our server, okay, let's now try to run our client. Okay? So, we have here cd desktop and then cd desktop. And then I have CD IPC. Ayan. And then what we have here, I'm going to run socket client. And I'm going to press enter now. So dapat, pag enter ko dito, magko-connect, magpapadala ako dito from client to server ng message ha. So socket client, ayun. Okay. So see? So makikita nyo class, no? That we are waiting for the client to connect. We receive from the client. This is from the client. No? Bytes received and pinadala ulit natin sa client yung pinadala niya sa atin. Kaya bytes received din sa client is 28. And we were able to communicate via the network. Siyempre, kung pinapatakbo niyo yan sa inyo and you are on a IP address, kahit kayo, pwede kayong kumonek right now sa server na ginawa ko. But I don't think it will work kasi kailangan i-configure nyo pa yung port forwarding ninyo, no? Para ma-forward yung connection sa IP address nyo. Otherwise kasi hindi siya gagana. So kailangan nyo pa i-configure yung router nyo. Pero gagana yan, no? that two of our programs can communicate with one another. Okay? And just to show you class, no? Let me run again the socket server and it's waiting to connect. I'm going to open a Java program here, no? So IntelliJ. Punta ako sa IntelliJ. And using the Java code that I gave you, tingnan natin ha. Okay. Ayan, no? Here is a Java code that connects to the socket, okay, which is port 8080. And makikita nyo dito, hello from Java program. Okay? So this is a Java program. Tapos ko-connect tayo sa C++ program natin. Ito yung C++ program tumatakbo. And this is our Java program. And as what you can see, socket lang. Oh. All you have to do is to include. Okay? Uh, well, yung socket, no? You have to instantiate the socket only. Okay? And that's it. No? So let me run the program, yung Java program natin. Okay, so I'm running it now. Build. We are waiting for the client to connect. And ayun, no? So we have here, hello from Java program. No? Hello from Java program dito. Okay? Well, technically, hindi kasi ako sumunod sa communication naming dalawa dahil nag-close agad ako dito and hindi tama yung communication namin. But the thing here is that I was able to send from Java, no, to C++. So ito program natin is Java na receive ni C++. And so you could have these two different platforms communicate over the network. E di ganyan din sa Python. If you wanted to communicate Python with Java and Java to Python, sockets ang gagamitin nyo. And kung gusto nyo mag-usap-usap yung C++, Java, and Python, socket ang gagamitin nyo. And that's how you make different platforms interoperable with one another. Ayan. So, yeah, this is a good technique, no? When you wanted to perform inter-process communication, okay, sa programs natin. And that ends my discussion for this module.